for this before the show starts
Okay.
and get ready for the show.
Now, are we live or is this, and people are listening in?
Yes. Last week it was live. I had over 60 listens live at this time, and then about over 100 over the broadcast.
Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna be live, and then you can, yes, we can see that. And I got about 50. Last week's I had about 60 some hits on YouTube with it, so we'll have the YouTube traffic as well.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. All right. So I will keep my language clean and my answers brief. By the way, did you get the questions that I have for you to ask me if you want, or do you have questions?
I have both of them. I know I have them here in one of the emails you sent me. I know when we talked about land banking and whatnot, I took some notes down as well. I
Okay.
actually, just as a refresher, I just watched your 6-minute YouTube video where you got into land banking.
All right.
So yeah, everything is good to go. We're just gonna have a conversation wherever it takes us, but it's all gonna be centered around your involvement in land banking, what land banking is, why choose velour, what velour does for people. I also have my link in the description. I just updated the e-card. I will also do that on YouTube for consultation if you to see if that person is land
I just
banking is right for them. Ah, I see. All right. That's
and
even
just in
better.
case you need them as a prompt.
Oh,
Obviously, we'll just go wherever we go, but in case you run out of questions, there's a couple in there that you might not remember. And those are sort of the things I like to get covered so people have a pretty good idea. What's our time frame? How
oh,
long?
we have about an hour that'll be live. But if we go over that after the show's over, I'll keep the video rolling and it'll go up on YouTube.
Right. All right. I scheduled an hour and then nothing after, just in case.
Oh, excellent, excellent. We may have one or two breaks in this. I'm not sure what the sound engineer has scheduled for us, but he'll count us down in the chat and we'll go from there. I'll introduce it. I'll introduce the show and introduce you. A little bit of last week, which was Drone Deck and Laura. Go over a little bit of that, what we're going to cover this week, and get right into it. You know, we're gonna, from my experience with this, and as it keeps growing, and the more the quality guests that I have on the show, the time just flies by because we don't cover everything, and I
Right.
try to make it a little bit more different than all your other interviews and broadcasts.
I'm ready. You can throw curveballs at me. I'm pretty good at answering on the fly. And if I don't have an answer, I'll say, wow, that's an incredible question. I never thought of that. I really don't have an answer right now, but let me think about it.
Okay, I like that. Uh, yeah, I do like those types of questions because I found that a more conversational type discussion is better than just going question by question by question
Right.
by question, because
Yep.
we find out so well. One, we find out more about you, why the things that you chose, the things that you have, some of the reasons behind it, and where it leads to. Because people out there, as you know, and I know from working with them, it gets frustrating, and they're like, "Well, what would this happen, or what would that happen?" It's we cover quite a bit of ground in a very short amount of time.
Now, some of my answers might be a little longer, like the first one, the second one, how and why did you get started? I like to tell a little bit of,
Okay.
the story of that. So that might be like a 2 minute answer, whereas everything else will be 30 seconds to a minute. Pretty short. I'll leave it up to you. If I give an answer and you need more, you just say, can you elaborate? Can you say a
Mhm.
little more about that? I don't quite understand. What did you mean? Does that mean this or this? And that's
Okay.
totally fine. And then I'll add, but I know I can talk a lot. I love what I do
Right.
and I could talk about it for hours. So I try to be a little careful. Now, right now, I'm looking directly at you on the left side of the screen.
Mhm.
Now I'm looking at myself. Which way is better for the eyes?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay, so moving
If
back
you
and
look
forth.
at, I'm going to look at you. I'm going to look at the camera. It's habit. It's human habit. because I like to
Yep.
know who I'm talking to on the cameras right there, but I'm looking down. It's and
Yep.
language,
Okay.
there's no filters on language. You can just be yourself. If you have to
Okay.
curse, you get a point across. We're all human.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of times I'll catch myself and they'll get the word I was about to say, and I'll say, just in case there's any kids listening, I want to keep it clean. So darn, but that's not really what I meant.
The demographics have been varying lately. A lot of 18 to 35 and a lot of like 42 to 70 something plus. So we got a whole variety of people.
Oh, okay. So I can address the millennials who are just maybe starting their investing careers, and I can address the more adult, the more mature audience who may have the resources and are wondering, do I still have enough time to do something like this? And yeah, I started investing when I was 61 in land, and I'm now 72, and I'm fine, and my land's fine. It's dirt. Going up in value every day.
That's some quality dirt you got there. Can't wait to talk
Yep.
about. We're going to talk about dirt and land, and
I've
that's
been
what.
starting to introduce myself when people say, "So, Brad, what do you do?" I sell dirt, and it like nothing. There's like silence. You sell dirt? Yes, I'm a land banking specialist. And then they say, "Well, what's land banking?" And it's like, I got
Oh yeah.
them. They're asking me questions, which is what I want them to do, and then I can respond back. So, yeah, been around the block, kind of know. In fact, have you heard of the icons of real estate? I'm one of them apparently, but that podcast is airing today. It's going live today as well. So I've
Oh.
got two announcements to make to my followers and stuff, and say, hey, you didn't, if you don't have enough of me yet, here's two more opportunities. And I did send
I love
out
it.
a Facebook and a LinkedIn post yesterday
Okay.
telling people to join us live today. So we'll see. When they ask questions, does it show up in my chat also, or just in yours?
Actually, they'll be on the phone, and I got that reminds me.
Oh,
I need to get the phone number up and running in case we have some live callers because we are live. Yeah, they actually dial in, and I really got to get that
oh,
back up.
okay. So I'll be able to actually hear them asking their question and then interact with them if needs be. But again, keep it
Mhm.
short so we
Oh
can
yeah,
get more callers. Okay, cool.
absolutely.
This is the first time I've done that. Usually the chat goes just to the host, and then they decide whether they want to ask me that question or not.
No, what will actually happen is I'm still waiting for my first caller to come in because they'll actually tell me in the chat like, hey, we got someone on the line for you, and it's like, oh okay, it's just like live radio. Well, it is live
All right.
radio. But yes, after this, it will be on tonight. I'll send you the links for the uh show, and it'll be on all streaming platforms. So you'll be on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Audible, three other ones. What are the other ones? iHeart and two other ones.
Wow.
Yeah, got a big
And
span.
and I'm assuming at some point, probably towards the end, you'll ask me how do people get a hold of you, and I just give my email.
Yep.
And I also tell them when they email, please let me know that you heard me on Magnus's show, because I want to be able to pay you the 2%. So I need to always find out from people how they heard about me.
Yes, I definitely have enough room at the end of the show to plug all of that and definitely specify that. I'll also put that in the description as well, along
Oh,
with your
great.
email address, because I actually just updated the Calendly. If they want to talk to me more about this for 30 minutes, click here, schedule a time, and we'll definitely talk one-on-one about it before they get to you.
Yeah, if they get a hold of you, don't tell them too much.
Nope.
I want it to be as little of your time as possible.
Right.
And don't try to explain land banking. They may ask,
Nope.
like, well, what's the minimum? I know that it's 25,000. Well, where's the land? I know it's in Southern California. But if they say why there, don't try to explain the 10 reasons why we invest only inside that circle. So
Nope,
okay.
that's your job. I'm just gonna get you there. I'll get them to you.
Some people try to, they watch Marcella's 1 hour presentation and then they try to regurgitate all of that, and they invariably get it a little bit off. and then I have to do damage control. So it's better to say as little as possible. Look, let me just introduce you to Brad. He knows all those answers. Can I just give him your email? Yep. Okay, go ahead. And then you're done. You wash your hands and you just wait for a check to show up.
I like that. And which engineer do we have today? Is Josh there, or do we have somebody else? Because you're on mute, maybe. Possibly. Well, we know you're there. Let's see here. Social media there.
All right, gentlemen, can you hear me now?
Ah, yes, there you are, Josh.
Yes.
All right.
There we go.
Brad, do you have an outboard microphone?
I could plug one in.
Can we? Because I'm mostly hearing the room around you. I'm hardly hearing you at all. It's mostly just reverberation.
Okay. I hope I can do this in time to get it to work.
We can hold on time if we need to.
And I got to figure out where to plug it in. That's always when you're technologically challenged. That's the hardest part. All right, hang on 1 second while I get to the back of the computer.
Hey, Max, while he's doing that, count back from 5 for me.
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, sounded good.
Awesome.
Setting up a device. We're setting up a US. Okay.
Oh, there it is. Here's my phone number.
Okay. Is that better? Device is ready.
Let's go into your Zoom. If you go to the bottom left of your screen, you see that little microphone icon?
Yep.
Just to the right of that, there's a little up arrow.
Yep. Okay.
You click on that up arrow, it's going to bring up a little pop-up. Bottom of that pop-up, you should see something that says audio settings.
Audio settings. Okay.
Yep, click on that. It's going to bring up a whole new window. About midway in there, you should see microphone in big bold letters. Just below that says test mic. And just to the right of test mic has a little drop down. What does that drop down tell you right now?
Microphone 2, same as system, or microphone US. Okay, I want to click the USB one, right?
Yeah, try that one real quick. Oh, that cut off your speakers as well. Can you still hear me, Brad? Brad, can you still hear me? Nod or your head if you can still hear me, Brad. No.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah,
okay, I can't hear you though, Magnus.
That shouldn't have changed anything with him changing that.
I went back to the original setting. Fail to detect your microphone. Please make sure your devices are properly connected. Check audio devices. Okay. I'm doing that. Let's try it again. USB. Hello?
Yep, hearing you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Is this better now?
Yes, infinitely better, infinitely better.
It said to check it, and I did, and I'll close that. So this is okay now.
Yeah, you sound great now.
Okay.
Just for volume level wise, go ahead and count back from 5 for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, you sound great right there, buddy.
Okay, then I'm not gonna touch it because I have a volume control. If I
no, it sounds great right there, man. You sound much better. We'll be able to hear everything you got to say now. We'll be happy.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here. As soon as you hear that music, we are live.
Okay.
One second, gentlemen. I'm having a technical difficulty. One moment.
No worries.
Sorry, gentlemen. My Zoomer program is not responding right now. It won't let me play to you. So give me just one moment. I gotta fix this. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. All right, gentlemen. Sorry about that. We're going live here.
Okay.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now, here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show, the Making More Money for You show on Voice America on the Business Channel. I want to take a moment to have a special thanks to Drone Tech last week. Laura O'Toole gave some great insight of what the company has been doing, her personal preferences on some of the great features that Drone Tech is offering, plus a little bit of where the company is actually going. And if you're still interested in them, look them up at dronedeck.com. They're also still looking for investors. So we'll have more to come to them when the time is right. But this week's show is way different than any of your other investing shows, because we're going to talk about a topic that not a lot of people understand, even heard of, and we're going to be talking about land banking. And I got one of the icons in the industry, in real estate industry, apparently, that I was just informed about today. He is here to talk about and answer questions about it, and if it's right for you. So my guest today is Brad Warren from Valor Enterprises, and is considered a land banking specialist. To make things even better is, while talking with Brad before, we're able to also open up the phone lines. If you have any questions during the show, call in and we can answer them live on the show for you. The phone number for that is 1-866-472-5789. It's 1-866-472-5789. Brad, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It was a weird topic when I was looking for guests and whatnot, especially on what the whole show is about, of finding different ways to invest. And this one really caught my eye, of land banking. I know we had a previous meeting about this, and it really opened my eyes up about it. But can you give us a little bit of insight about you on your journey here and how it actually led you to land banking?
Sure. I actually do a quarterly net worth statement. I've been doing it since I met my wife in 1989 when we got married. And on December 31st, 2011, I looked at the quarterly net worth statement and realized my wife could retire. Together we could retire using her, retirement fund that she had saved up through her 401k. But by myself, I did not have enough money to retire on my own if I was single. And that was kind of an eye-opener. I was disappointed in myself, realized I needed to make a change. So the next month, January of 2012, I had my land banking friend, Marcella Silva, come to our house with her laptop and her husband, sat down with my wife and I at the kitchen table, just like a regular real estate agent would do a listing presentation. And she did the hour-and-a-half presentation on land banking, after which my wife stood up and said, "No, thank you. I like my 401k. I like my mutual funds. I'm going to keep doing that." And she walked out of the room. And I turned to Marcella and said, "I need to do this because there's no way I'm going to generate enough money to retire on my own." So 2 months later, I had my first property. A year later, I had my second. A year after that, I got my third. Then my wife came to hear Marcella present again at a hotel. It's one of those places you do you rent a room, you invite all your investors to bring their guests. So she came along, but the whole way in the car, Magnus, she's going, "Now I'm not going to invest. I haven't changed my mind, but you've been doing this for like 3 years now, and you own 3 properties, and you've gone down and looked at your land, and you've even put them in little baggies and brought home little scoops of dirt from where you bought. Something's going on here. Oh, and you've been getting these referral fees from Marcella. You've made tens of thousands of dollars in referral fees in just 3 years. Maybe I missed something, but I'm not going to buy." Well, needless to say, we hear the presentation, and she buys 2 properties right there in the hotel. She had her checkbook with her, which I did not know. And that was properties number 4 and 5. And today we own 11. And I have since got my real estate license and joined Marcella's team as the first agent on her team. And now I sell dirt. I sell land to people just like I had gotten it myself.
Okay. Well, that is definitely a different aspect of what dirt can do for you. Most definitely, because it's normally just laying there. It's like, it's dirt. I'm not going to do anything with it, but I'm going to buy it. And just in case I want to do something with it. Now, what were you thinking on the way to the presentation when your wife was constantly saying, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. What was going through your mind in that time frame, even though that you own 3 properties already?
Well, to be honest, I didn't have any expectations. She's
Okay.
very clear. And when she said she wasn't going to buy, I figured she wasn't going to buy. So I said, great. I don't care if you don't buy or not, but at least come and, listen to Marcella's presentation and learn some more about it. And you'll get to see what I've been doing all these last 3 years. And so I was just very neutral about it and surprised when she pulled out her checkbook and raised her hand and said, I want that one. And I turned to her, I says, wait a minute, you said you weren't going to buy. She said, shut up, I'm buying. And then she bought another one. And the whole way home in the car, I couldn't help it, Magnus. I couldn't help it. The whole way home in the car, I said, so I thought you weren't going to buy. How come you? And I was teasing her and she said, oh, I get it now. I really get it. I see the possibilities and I did not see it 3 years ago. And I wish I had started 3 years ago when you did.
But you brought up a valid point, though, that she did have investments already done and she did diversify her investments. And that gave her the edge to be able to retire at that age if she chose to. And when you were looking at the quarterly statements, of course, but it also triggered you in something is you need more diversification. So once you started diversifying, how did that change your portfolio?
Well, the actual numbers right now between the two of us, we own 11 properties and about 1/3 of our liquid portfolio. In other words, we took all of her 401k
Mhm.
from 2 different companies that
Okay.
she worked at, one for like 18 years and one for 16 years.
Oh my.
We
Okay.
converted, again, being very conservative, she
Mhm.
converted most of that to a fixed indexed annuity with life insurance with living benefits. So
Nice.
now we're fully insured in case something happens. Our daughter's going to be a very wealthy woman. We can borrow against it if we have to and pay ourselves back for long-term care if that comes up.
Mhm.
And so the land so that's about 2/3 of our portfolio, and the land is about 1/3. So
Okay.
don't put all of it there. I would highly recommend to people not to put all of your money in. It's like they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's the same with investing. It's a diversification real estate strategy. It's a little more longer term. We tell people on average 7 to 10 years to get the return that
Okay.
we want you to get, which is in the 3 to 7 times, 3 to 7x return. But you got to be patient, and it has to be money that you can just set aside and leave it there, which is why most of my clients use self-directed IRAs and self-directed 401ks to invest.
Okay. Now we've got your background in it. Now let's talk a little bit what land banking actually means. So you've said before you own dirt, but can we clarify what kind of dirt it is? And what makes this dirt so special to you?
Okay, so a bunch of questions in there. So
Mhm.
where we invest, and the only place we invest, is within a 60-mile radius of downtown Los Angeles. You can't invest in land in Los Angeles proper in the city. First of all, there isn't any land. And even
Right.
if you could find it, you're talking 2 to 7 million per acre. We're in the outskirts. So we're in the Antelope Valley, Lancaster, Palmdale, Victorville, Adelanto, the Inland Empire. We are even outside that 60-mile radius. We've done some investing in Palm Springs and Desert Hot Springs. But basically, our company goes out. We have a research and acquisition department. They find land, and later I can tell you what we look for, but it's very comprehensive. We buy the land very cheap. We mark it up to create cash flow to run the company. The investor who buys it at the marked up value, which is still below market, so they're getting a little bit of built-in equity to start,
Mhm.
they are the ones that are patient and can hold it to 7 to 10 years that we say on average is about when they expect the developer to knock on their door. And that's your exit strategy. You wait for a developer. Let's say it's an energy company that wants to build 1,000-acre solar farm, and you own 1 acre. You don't have to own a lot. 1 acre is of what we call green real estate is about $25,000. So an acre, acre and a quarter. Sometimes you can get 2 acres for 25. But your 1 acre is in the middle of the 1,000-acre project, and they can't build that project and leave a blank acre there of just dirt. So they have to buy your land. So you have basically a captive buyer. And then we offer free negotiation coaching to make sure you get into that 3 to 7x return in the course of your negotiations, which could take 6 months or a year. But in the meantime, that energy company is consolidating an acre here, 10 acres there, 5 acres here, 2 acres here, until they finally own the complete 1,000-acre amount of land that they need for the project.
Okay. Well, that's actually like a story. Of course, I got for the free trips and everything. Like you were talking about one of those seminars. I got suckered into a seminar down in Florida, but found out it was a timeshare thing. But but the story with Westgate, it was actually Westgate that did this. A lady held on to her property, and it was in the middle of where they were going to actually renovate and rebuild a new facility there. She held on to that one little piece of property. They couldn't do anything because it was titled and deeded to her, and they couldn't do any renovations until they had 100% of it. And she made out like a bandit. I remember they showed me the things. Back in 1970, she bought it for, I think it was like $5,000 was the timeshare. And she had it since the 70s once they did it. And when she finally broke down and sold it, she got $6.4 million for that one little piece of property to get it paid for. I think it was 6.4. It was in the sixes, but because they wanted it that bad to renovate and build and expand there, and they had to pay her out. They couldn't do anything.
I can't promise those kinds of returns.
Oh, right.
That is astronomical off the charts, but the concept is exactly the same.
Okay.
Buy land that's in the path of growth, hold for an extended period of time, 7 to 10 years on average. We do have clients that exit sooner, and we have some that exit later. My actual property in March of this year, 2023, it will turn 11 years old, and I haven't sold it yet. And people, my friends say, well, you got taken, it's 11 years, you haven't sold. I said, well, let me tell you something. It's a mixed use property. I paid $115,000 for 1.25 acres. Okay. Right now on the market, less than a half a mile away in the same zoned area, there's a property selling. If you break down the 150,000 to square feet, I paid $2.17 per square foot. There's a property a half a mile away that's selling for over $8.50 a square foot. So I know my property's worth at least 4 times what I paid. But wait, there's more, Magnus. So on either side of me is a company called BYD, Build Your Dreams. It's a Chinese electric car manufacturer that built its only North American electric bus manufacturing facility in the city of Lancaster. Well, when I first went down and looked at it many, many years ago, it housed about 80 to 90 employees, I think, and they were making about 15 buses a year. Okay. 2 years after that, they expanded to 5 times the size of the building. They had 800 to 900 employees, and they were making over 100 buses. Well, guess what? That was on one side of me. That was to the east of me. To the west of me, a half a mile away, BYD just bought a 160-acre empty parcel, and they're building a second North American electric bus manufacturing company. Wow. Do you think they know something is going on in that area? Yeah. And it's in the same zoning, the same area as mine. So that just raised the price of my land. And oh, by the way, here's the last thing. The city council did me a huge favor about a year ago. I didn't ask them to do this, Magnus. The city council of Lancaster went ahead and rezoned my MU4, meaning mixed use 4, which means that you're allowed to build 4 stories high. They rezoned it to MU5. So now the developer, let's say it's a hotel developer, and they want to buy my land. Well, now they can build a 5-story hotel instead of a 4-story hotel. What do you think that just did to the value of my land? It just bumped it up 1x more factor. So I know my land is now currently worth at least 5 or 6 times what I paid for it. And to tell you the truth, if I wait another 9 years and it takes me 20 years, I'm going to exit at over $1 million for that $115,000. And oh, by the way, it's in a Roth IRA, a self-directed Roth IRA. And many of your listeners probably know that means it's tax free. So my almost $900,000 gain that I'm anticipating will be completely tax free. That is what we call generational or legacy wealth. And if I can't spend the whole 900,000 myself, my daughter will get it.
Well, you might be able to buy 24 eggs with that. At the current
right.
races are going.
By that time, if you can even find it, what's an egg?
What's an egg?
Anymore.
Chickens? No, chickens are a protected species now.
Oh, good. Okay, good. They're on the endangered species list. That's good.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's good.
But wow, you were smart enough to put these investments in IRAs. So you know whatever you make on these, government can't touch it. It is your money, and it's
if it's
yours
the Roth.
as long as it's a Roth, of course.
Yeah, the regular self-directed IRA is just tax deferred, but even that's fine. I just leave it in there, and I don't have to touch it. I've got all this other money I can use, so I'll just leave it there, and hopefully, when my daughter takes it out, then she'll pay the tax on it. I'll let her worry about that.
Well, in that time, that's a fight for another day.
That's correct.
But wow, that's amazing that you had the vision to go out and start looking at these properties, because I love one of your sayings with the companies, you can't make more land.
Invest in land because they're not making any more of it.
Exactly. But it's very interesting to have the foresight to do this, especially in certain areas where the city actually bumped up your zoning, and that's not really heard of unless you go and actually complain or petition for that now.
Right. Well, to get back to a question that some of your listeners may have, or that you alluded to earlier, is, why only that 60-mile radius around Los Angeles? Well, we call it the 10 growth factors. There are 10 economic trends, 10 growth factors, all occurring at the same time inside that circle. And one of them is business-friendly city government. As an example, I will not invest in Pleasanton, California, which is 20 minutes from my house. I won't invest in land for development there because they're very anti-development. They have been for years. In fact, the city of Pleasanton sued the state of California to try to prevent them from enforcing a law on the city that they had to build more housing, especially low-income housing. Pleasanton said, no, we're not going to build that housing, and we're going to go to court. They lost, so they have to build the housing. But you don't want to invest in a city where you're going to fight tooth and nail to, the developer doesn't, permits, and, we'll get back to you in 5 months. We haven't had time to review your permit yet. You don't want that. And I don't want to badmouth Pleasanton. It's a beautiful city, by the way. Great place to go. I wouldn't want to live there necessarily, if I was an investor. But that's why that's one of the 10 reasons why we invest in the areas that we do, because the city governments are all very pro-development. They're pro-expansion. They put a lot of infrastructure. Okay, you follow the money.
Oh yeah.
Well, the city government of Lancaster and Palmdale, about 2 or 3 years ago, put $180 million of city money into widening the off ramps off of Highway 14. Now you got to ask yourself, why would a city government do that? They're just making the roads easier to get on and off the freeway. Well, duh, they know something that we don't, like maybe there's a bunch of housing developments going to be produced, being built. Maybe there's a shopping center coming. So we immediately start to buy up all the land near those exits off the freeway because we know development is coming. You follow the money. And that's just 2 of the 10. There's 8 other reasons. I don't even remember all 8, but there's 8 other economic trends that we follow to make sure that we're in an area where there's going to be future development, and a lot of it, not just a little, but a lot of it.
Now you really raised an interesting point, because every section in the United States wants to be political about everything, and it's more or less, what do they get out of having something done? Now, when you're investing in land and when you're scouring this with the 8, do you actually look at how it benefits the political side of things, and also the township or residential area where you invest?
Well, not so much the politics, Magnus. We're more interested in the economic factors.
Okay.
So in that 60-mile radius around LA, is there enough water? Are there freeways and air and rail to support the influx and outgo of goods and services? Are they near a harbor? Long Beach and LA Harbor, I believe, are the either first and second, or second and third. They're like one of the biggest harbors in the United States of America for incoming goods. Well, guess what? All that stuff coming over from China and Korea and Japan, it's in those big, those containers. They unload those. Well, where do they go after that? They got to go to warehouses.
Right.
And e-tailing, or the Amazon effect, this whole online business, which we're all seeing billions of dollars every year, and it goes up and up and up every year. Well, Amazon has to take those containers, put all the goods that came over into a warehouse, and the warehouse has to be close to a major metropolitan area, because guess what? Everybody wants overnight delivery.
Yes.
Well, in order to have overnight delivery, you got to have a warehouse with the goods in it that's close enough to get there overnight. Well, guess where they're building all these warehouses now? Lancaster, Palmdale, Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs, Victorville. Yeah. It's exploding. Warehousing is exploding. And some of the areas where there's already a lot of warehouses, those city governments have said no more. Sort of like NIMBY, not in my backyard. They pollute because all the trucks coming in. There's a lot of noise. We're getting pushback from our community, the people that live in the city. They don't want any more warehouses. So it's pushing them further out, right into the land that our investors own. So it's all connected. It's all got to do with economics. Our CEO is a PhD economist. All he does is study trends, micro and macro trends. And when his father formed the company 43 years ago, 44 years ago, I believe now, he and the son is now running the company. They've been doing this for 4 decades. They've been following these trends, and they know this is what's going to keep happening in this particular area for at least the foreseeable future, maybe 15, 20 more years. After that, I may get another job. But after that, 20 years from now, I'll be 92. So maybe it'll be time to retire.
You can retire on the beach with with a couple glasses of sand next to you. It's like, oh, these are the things that help me get here.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, that's amazing. Just hearing even the little bit that we're just testing the surface of this, because I know there's way much more to this, because I've seen the presentation with you and Marcelo. After talking with you about this, but right now we need to take a break. And when we get back, we're going to dive more into this and expand our horizons on land banking. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. And also, people, thank you that actually started listening at the beginning of this. If you have any questions so far, the phone number to call us is 1-866-472-5789. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back. Brad, thank you for being here. And we'll see you in a few moments.
Yep.
You are clear.
Awesome. That went by extremely fast.
Yeah. As I knew it would. And
oh, yes.
We're just touching the surface. Can I get up and are we still recording?
Oh, we're still recording. Yeah. We have probably about another 30 seconds.
Oh, I was going to try to do a bathroom run, but I'll wait.
You got about a minute.
Oh, you got a minute? Have at it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. So, Josh, how much land are you going to buy?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How much land are you going to invest in?
I can barely invest in groceries. I don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
Oh, I know that feeling. Oh, I'm gonna have to do a show on investing, how to shop at a grocery store now.
Pretty much.
It's all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, inflation is killing.
Oh, but according to our lovely guest David Parker, inflation does not exist. Remember,
That is true, I suppose. According to him.
according to him, yes, the 8 and 9% hike we just seen is nothing.
Okay.
Ah,
All right. Perfect time. We've got about 10 seconds and we'll be back.
wonderful.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the show. We have had an not really an in-depth conversation, but a very good overview of what land banking is. If you're still curious what land banking is, go back and listen to the first part of the show, because we're actually going to pick up right where we left off before the break with Brad Warren. Welcome back, Brad.
Thank you.
Excellent. It's a very good conversation we're having. We were talking about resources and how actually branching out of certain places that are actually stopping development, forcing companies to develop elsewhere. And that's one thing that Brad, as a land consultant, is very in depth with, especially with this. Now, as we know, land cannot be created overnight. So, and the value of land is very precious, especially when it comes to development, because everybody's fighting over that last little piece of land so they can actually uh, put the jigsaw puzzle together and build their company so they can start generating revenue from it. So we did talk about a couple of the factors that go into this, but one question that you said, one statement that you said, it might be 15, 20 years from now that you're going to retire, but how fast is land going at this current rate?
That's a great question. And we've actually asked our CEO that pretty much almost every year. We used to have all hands meetings, like annual meetings at the company headquarters in Southern California. And then COVID came, so we didn't do that anymore for a while. In fact, we had to cancel our company trip for 2 years in a row. We took a break from that. But it depends on what kind of land. So some land is disappearing faster than other. There are 5 categories of zoning for land. At the very bottom, the least expensive, is what's called non-residential agricultural land. That's basically farmland, but that's where all the solar farms are being built. Then you have residential, which is housing. You have industrial, which would be the warehouses that I alluded to earlier, like an Amazon or a Skechers or a Michaels, Walmart, those big warehouses. It could be a storage facility. It could be a marijuana grow facility, would be in an industrial zone. They don't like to build those next to schools or hospitals. So they're kind of segregated into the industrial area of town. The next level up is commercial. So that would be apartment buildings, maybe hotels, things like that. And then mixed use, which would be a conglomeration. It could be a gigantic project that includes housing and some retail and a movie theater and restaurants, parking lot, all of that. So that would be mixed use. So you've got these 5 categories. Well, right now, solar is disappearing even faster than our CEO had predicted. He said, maybe we got 20 years, and then it was down to 15, and then 10. Right now, it's around 6, 7 years.
7 years.
Where
Wow.
all the land, at least the affordable land that's where they want to put these solar farms, that will be gone or very close to gone, or else the price is going to go up and be not out of reach of our investors, but certainly not what they're used to. You're not going to be able to get an acre for 25,000 anymore. In fact, when I first started investing 11 years ago, the minimum investment was about 15,000, and then it went to 20, and then now it's 25. So we're even seeing we just can't get those really, really super cheap properties anymore. So 7, 8 years, again, ballparking it, that's the solar land is disappearing that fast. In fact, one of the statistics that the CEO cited, he said 50 square miles of land inside that 60-mile radius circle, and mostly just in the top portion in the Antelope Valley, 50 square miles has disappeared to solar farms in the last 2.5 years.
2.5 years, 50 square miles.
2.5 years, 7 by 7. If you imagine a square, 7 miles long, 7 miles wide, that'd be 49 square miles of land, all taken up by solar farms. In fact, if people don't believe me, here's what you do. Go to Google Earth or Google Maps or whatever it's called, which, by the way, is about 3 or 4 years behind with their, the pictures they take from outer space. They're behind. They can't keep up fast enough. But go back to like 2010 and go to the Antelope Valley, and you won't see a lot of solar farms. You can see these solar farms from up where the satellites are. They're big enough. And they're like little black squares. And you'll see a few. And then go to 2011, 2012, 2013. And every year you will see more and more and more of these black squares of the solar panels taking up more and more land. And in a less than a decade, roughly, it's going to be just one complete black square in that whole western part of the Antelope Valley, outside the basic city limits. So they don't build the solar farms in the residential area or the mixed use area or the commercial or the industrial. It's all to the west side. They also have some wind farms there as well. That's all going to be gone. We're actually moving north now. We're actually at the very top of that circle with the county line between Los Angeles County and Kern County. We're now moving into southern Kern County because all of Northern California, Northern LA County is being consumed and it's gone. So we're even being forced to go further than the 60 miles to find suitable land to sell to our investors. It's called the greatest land rush in the history of California. And it's all because of the sun and the cheap electricity.
Wow. That's honestly ridiculous. That
Yes.
all that
Yes, that's what I say. Sometimes I just shake my head and go, this is nuts. This is crazy. Oh, and did I mention SB 100, Senate Bill 100, signed in October of 2018 by Governor Brown, one of the last bills he signed before he left office, went into effect January 1st, 2019, requires the entire state of California to get all of its electricity for buildings and homes from renewables by 2045. Well, it ain't coming from biomass. It's not coming from hydro. Nuclear is out because that's not renewable. You're not getting it from thermal because we don't know how to tap into the core of the, through the mantle of the earth into the core and draw that heat up and make electricity, using heat and steam turbines. It's coming from solar, a little bit of wind, but mostly solar. We're at 33%, Magnus, and it took us over 20 years to get to 33%. Now we got to triple that number to 100%. We got to go another 67% from renewables, and we have less than 25 years. How is that even possible? We don't even know if it's possible, if it'll happen. The energy companies will get fined millions of dollars if they don't hit the goal. And that's just homes and buildings. What about all the electric cars and the electric buses? those aren't even factored into the equation. And right now, Tesla, they're building those suckers and they're sold. There's like a wait list to get one now. 2 years, 3 years, I heard, to buy one because they're so popular.
Not only, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Not only that is they can't keep the power on the grid the way it is.
That's right.
And
Well, what they're doing in these solar areas now, they're building what are called BESS, battery energy storage systems. So the utilities finally realized, okay, we can produce this wonderful, almost free to them electricity during the day when the sun is shining. But what do we do between 4 and 9 p.m. when the demand is at its highest and the sun has gone down? So they're now having to build these battery energy storage systems, which require massive amounts of land to store the energy produced during the day and be able to feed it back into the grid in the evening and the night when there's no more sun out. So it's all this complicated, everything's tied together. It's wow, is all I keep saying when I think about this.
yeah, and they didn't think about that beforehand when they
They might have, but they weren't building the BESS. They weren't building these storage systems until fairly recently. We've had a couple of clients sell their land just for the battery energy storage system to be built. Or sometimes they'll build it inside the solar farm, and the client will exit that way. So it's just amazing. It's just mind-boggling.
That's completely mind-boggling with that, especially when the way technology is actually increasing itself. They're gonna be sold out of it, and then by the time they get everything in place, they're gonna have to go through and rip it all up again. That's impressive, because you're still putting outdated technology in that's not efficient in land areas where it could be more used more efficiently and for a better price.
Yeah. Well, the panel technology keeps going up.
Oh, yeah.
The ability to produce more electricity per square inch keeps going up. We've even had a couple of clients exit with long-term leases. They get these 15-year leases with 5 and 2 5-year renewals, and they pay a 2% escalation clause. So they set a base rate for monthly income. So you're going to get, let's say it's $1,000.
Okay.
So the next, and you for 1 year, you're going to get $1,000 is what we'll pay you. And then the next year it's $1,020 because it went up 2%. And then it's $1,040.20 or whatever. And that just keeps going up. And you wind up, if you use one of those calculators that you plug in the numbers, and over the 25-year period, these people are going to be making like $1.5 to $2 million on a $25,000 investment. Oh, and by the way, at the end of 25 years, they still own the land. It's still their land. So PG&E or Southern California Edison or San Diego Power, they're going to either have to buy the land then or come in and take all their solar panels out, but you're still going to own the land. So there's all kinds of perturbations and different ways to go about this. It's just, and we're just touching the tip of the iceberg here.
And that's one of the items that you offer is the free consultation fee when you're ready to sell on your exit strategy. Am I correct on that?
You are. Oh, you paid close attention when you watched the video.
I absolutely do.
Yeah, we call it free negotiation coaching. The COO of the company so far, and it depends on how many investors we have going down the road, whether he can continue to do this. But right now, he gets involved on any and all negotiations where the investor needs help. So you say, well, how does he do this free negotiation coaching? Well, quick example. Let's say you bought 2 acres of solar land for $30,000. And Southern California, 2 years after you bought it, comes and says, we'll offer you $40,000. And you think to yourself, wow, I made 10 grand. That's a 33% increase in 2 years. And you call me and you say, Brad, I got this offer from Southern California Edison, $40,000. I paid 30. Should I sell? Well, first of all, I can't give financial advice, so I can't say yes or no. But I'd say, send me the email with the information. I send the email to the COO. He and I get on a call. He says, Brad, here's 6, 7, 8 questions I want you to give to Magnus to ask the solar company. And you don't know what questions to ask, but I give them to you for free. Right. You go back to the solar company. You want to, what are you going to do with the land? Oh, we're building a solar farm. What's the name of the project? How many acres? How many megawatts? Because you want to know what the cash flow is that they're going to be making themselves. based on what a kilowatt hour sells to the customer for. How many megawatts? When are you breaking ground? When will it go online? Is a battery energy storage system being built on the site, or is it just for solar panels? Well, that's 6, 7, 8 questions you might not have known. Oh, and by the way, we may have other Valor investors in the same area who have been approached by Southern California Edison, and you were offered 40. Maybe we know they've already been offered 60. So we know they're just lowballing you to try to steal the land. So we give you all that information, you negotiate, and as soon as you start asking these questions, what do you think the negotiator at Southern California Edison does? He grabs his head and he goes, oh my God, this guy knows something. He's too smart. We're not going to be able to get it. So now they offer you 65. They just went from 40 to 65. Oh, you're only at 2x. So we don't want you selling yet. So we keep giving you information. We keep helping you. And then maybe they get up to 120. So now you bought it for 30, right? So now you're at 4x. You're in the zone where we think you'll make a very good return. If you ask me, Brad, should I sell for 120? I can't say yes or no. That's financial advice. But if I know that 3 other Valor investors just exited for 112, 115, and 118, and you were offered 120, the way I answer your question is I'll say, Magnus, that's a very good price. Or Magnus, that's fair market value according to the information that we currently have in our possession.
Okay.
Notice I didn't say no, I didn't say yes, but I certainly indicated that, yeah. Now you could try to squeeze out 122, 123. That's up to you, but you may lose the deal. So take your 120. You made 90,000 in 2-3 years. Not bad. And now people always ask me this question. Well, why do you guys do this for free? Doesn't the COO charge for his time? Well, yeah, he usually charges $2,000 an hour, $3,000 an hour for his level of expertise. But we do it because A, we want you, the investor, to have a win. Because what are you going to do? You're either going to reinvest some of that with us, which we would love, or you're going to tell your friends. You're not going to believe what I just did. It took 3 years, but I turned 30,000 into 120. I want to know more about that. Who, where, Brad, you got to meet Brad. You got to meet Brad. So it's a way to get clients, but also we get legal insider information from you that you've gotten from Southern California Edison that we didn't know about, like the boundaries of that project.
Right.
Now we go, oh my God, this is a 2,000 acre project. They've just started. We go look inside those boundaries and we try to buy up as much of that land as we can, as cheap as we can, sell it to our investors. We mark it up so we make some money. Obviously, that's how we run the company. But then our investors are going, well, why should I buy this? Because we know there's a project coming. We have 5 other investors that have already sold inside, and this is what they sold for. And we show them the contracts because we get that from the investor and they allow us to share it with other Valor investors. So yeah, it's free, but we get something out of it. Let's not be, we're not totally altruistic in that sense.
No, you get it at the front end. And what you do is and on the back end, you get the referrals and reinvestments at a higher cost and the same percentage. So you got repeat customers.
Yep. And that's the name of the game. In fact, I would say, I know for Marcella, she has over 500 clients, 500 sales. I would say the number of her clients who own more than one property is probably 60-70%. I know for me, it's probably closer to 80. I have far fewer sales because I've been doing a lot less time than she has. But I would say, most of my clients are multiple buyers. They become land addicts is what we call them. It's what my wife and I we bought 1, then I bought 2 and 3, then she got 2, and then we got 6 more. So, and then she said, that's enough. No more land. We got enough dirt.
Oh, plus on top of that, you own the land, but you also have equity in case you need to borrow against it. Like you're saying before, you borrow against it and then you can repay it back whenever you can.
Well, you can't borrow against the land.
Oh, you can't borrow against that? Okay.
Well, lenders, my understanding, and again, I'm not a mortgage person. I'm not a lender. So, this is not advice. But my understanding is they don't lend against vacant land because there's no collateral. There's no building. There's no actual thing there except the land.
Gotcha.
And so they're not going to lend against it because it's an illiquid market. You can't just go out and sell your land to anybody.
you kind of have to wait for the developer. That's the the
Okay.
exit strategy.
Our end game.
Is wait
Okay.
for the developer. So you can't really borrow against the land. Also, they don't, as far as I know, most lenders won't finance people to buy land either. They won't lend you money to buy it for the same reason. It's just land, it's dirt.
Mhm.
There's no collateral there. So
Okay.
our clients use their IRAs, or they use cash, or they do a 1031 exchange. I
Gotcha.
have several of those going on right now.
Okay. Well, I know someone out there was probably thinking that, so it's good to bring it up and squash that right now. So that and that's what this is all about, honestly, because I'm still being educated on it. I can't wait till I can get to the point where I can actually go and invest in this, which will be
Well,
coming.
We will welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely. But till then, my company is still developing and being fruitful and whatnot. And like you said, you have to have the money to set aside for 7 to 10 years. And I want to
Correct.
make sure I do that properly, so I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder and constantly looking at it. It's like, well, how's it doing today? Or how's it doing next month? And this and that, and driving you nuts and driving me nuts.
Well, it's funny that you said. I had one client, he called me after a year. He says, how's my land doing? I said, Rick, it rained in the Antelope Valley, which is rare because it's the high desert. They get very little rain. I said, but it rained in the Antelope Valley, and your land is wet, and tomorrow it will be dry. That's how your land's doing. And he kind of chuckled, and he knew I was kind of yanking his chain a little. And he says, no, really, I said, well, do you get on the free Tuesday night updates from the COO? He said, no. I said, well, if you got on those, you might have seen your land even mentioned in one of those updates, because he tells us about the future developments that are either the ground being broken or about to be broken. I said, so I don't want you to call me anymore. Your land is fine. I told you 7 to 10 years. It's only been a year. And get on those Tuesday night webinars. He said, okay, I'll do that. Well, about 2 years later, I get a photo. It's a selfie of him and his wife, and he's holding up the camera, and behind him is a solar farm. And I emailed him. I called him up. I actually called him. I said, Rick, what the hell is this? He says, oh, that's a solar farm across the street from my property. I'm not going to bother you anymore. I know it's coming. I just have to be patient. You told me 7 to 10 years. It's only been about 3. But this wasn't there when I bought 3 years ago, and it's there now. So I know it's coming. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. And, that was it. Occasionally I'll get calls when it comes tax time, which may be a question that some of your listeners are wondering is, well, what are the carrying costs? Other than buying the land, there's an escrow fee, and we have our own internal escrow department. So that fee is lower than using an outside escrow. We pay for the title insurance and the natural hazard disclosure report. So as the seller to you, the investor, we cover those. So it's your price of the land and your escrow fee. If you're using an IRA, there's a $250 IRA fee because there's extra paperwork.
Okay.
And then it's just your yearly taxes. And because of Proposition 13 here in California, which was passed in 1978, retroactive to 1976, property taxes, when a property changes hands, it's recalculated at the current price. But because it's vacant land, the assessor never assesses it at the full value of the purchase. It's usually about half. So one of my properties, I think I paid $90 in my last tax bill. Was $90 for the year.
Okay.
And oh, by the way, it can only go up 2% a year. So $90 the next year, it's $91.80. And then it's like $93. I mean, so the incremental increase over time is very low. So the total outlay, even if you have to wait 10 years, even if you're paying $500 a year times 10, so about let's say $6,000 on a $100,000 property, you're still around 100, 106, 100. It's not, so you'll try to get the extra 6 from the buyer and recoup your money that way. So carrying costs over time are extremely low.
Okay. That was actually my next question. So you already answered that. But Brad, we are out of time. We are really getting close to the end. So how can we, the listeners, also myself included, reach out to you and learn more about this, and also say, hey, I want to do this. I have the extra cash. How do we get in contact?
The best way to get a hold of me is email, and
Okay.
it's just my name, brad@bradwarren.com. And just very quickly, you brought up the idea of, I have the cash, I want to, you can partner with up to 4 non-family members and 8 family members. So maybe you don't have 50,000, but you've got a friend with 25 and you've got 25, you put it together and you could get a $50,000 property between you. I'm not going to go into the details of that right now, but
Okay.
but that is an option for people. But
Oh,
again,
wonderful.
brad@bradwarren.com. I respond to emails within 24 hours and I'll set up a Zoom call, and we'll take as much time as we need for me to go into any other questions that your listeners might have.
Oh, awesome. And don't forget, when you email Brad, make sure you put in the subject line Magnus's show. So you can actually, because I know Brad works on referrals, and we do this to make sure that we have good investors and willing to actually do this. Please, I'll actually put that in the description as well. Magnus's show along with Brad's email. And I also have a link on there with my calendar in case you have any other further questions that I may help you and then get you over to Brad. Well, Brad, that's the show for today. It was jam-packed with everything. Not everything, but we have a very good playing field, if you will, of the land.
Yes. And again, thank you. Thank all your listeners for listening in, and thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And next week, I have Zach Winter with commercial real estate investing. So you invest in the land, you can invest in commercial real estate next. So that's it for this week, guys. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Get outside, enjoy some of this weather. If it's nice out, enjoy it, because winter is still here. Until then, I'll see you next Tuesday.
You are clear.
Thanks, Josh.
All right,
Thank
you guys
you.
have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. You too.
All right,
All
bye-bye.
righty. Bye-bye.
So, Brad, what'd you think about the show?
That was great. And like you said, I mean, that was an hour, and it was like we could have gone on. There's
Absolutely.
a couple of other things we didn't get to, and that's fine, because hopefully they're curious enough that they will give me a buzz, which would be wonderful.
I felt the same way. You don't want to get them too interested too much. We want them to come back, which I'm totally for. Because gladly answer any questions I can and get them over to you.
Yep.
Because it's a great way, honestly, it's a great way to invest, especially for people that don't know what to invest in next.
Yeah. And a lot of people are getting out of the market or got out of it, hopefully in time. I did not, which was bad move on my part. I should have been a little bit more aware, but it is what it is. Hopefully it'll come back over time, because it's just going to sit there. I'm not going to touch it and do something stupid and sell now when it's all at the bottom. In fact, I'm thinking of buying some more stocks.
Wait about a year and then buy more.
Yeah,
it's
going. My wife said. She said, "Hold on, we don't know Ukraine, supply chain, COVID, the recession, interest rates, too much volatility. Don't mess with it. Just let it all settle. When it starts to go up, you can never time it perfectly. When it looks like it's starting to trend up, then dive in and buy some more shares of the ones that I really like. So that's probably what I'll do. But but by the way, just to let you know, when someone contacts me, I can't share their name.
Nope.
I can't tell you who they are because of confidentiality, but I do kind of keep you in the loop. If they just call and they're just getting more information and nothing happens, I don't really say anything. But if they actually say, I'm going to invest, I'm going to do 50,000, let's get going, then I might say, hey, I've got a live one. It looks like 50,000. I'll keep you posted. And then we opened escrow, we closed escrow. And as soon as we close escrow and I receive my check from Valor that day or the next day, I send you a check or wire. I like checks. Wires are getting to be too expensive.
Oh yeah, checks.
Costing me a lot of money just to wire it, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. So I do kind of keep you updated on the leads and the referrals.
Okay, I appreciate that very much, because it's the content that we created here and the stuff that you're doing, and honestly, land is going up because I had other people on the show One was Will Basta, that actually does e-commerce and whatnot, and they're looking to expand with warehousing and whatnot with Amazon and everything else, and they're doing e-stores and whatnot because malls are dead.
Yep.
Because they can't keep the supply. One, they're overcharging everybody, and they knew that for years. And two, the supply chain's still so screwed up from COVID, and nobody wants to work yet. So it's not that bad yet.
Yep. Yeah, where malls are dinosaurs, they're kind of going, and you just watch the numbers on the e-tailing, and they're going up by billions more every year than the year before.
Oh, I agree. Because what's Amazon at, like 84% now? It went up another 2% from last year of sales. It's going to be everything, even the Walmarts, the super centers, and all those types of stores. They're slowly dying out.
Yep. Online is where it's at.
True,
We
and
own-
also, what's that?
We own the land where they want to build these warehouses. That's one of our hottest after solar, I would say, warehouse. So we jump over residential, we go right to industrial.
Mhm.
The two sales that I have in escrow now, one is solar, one is industrial. The three sales before that were all industrial.
Wow.
So, and this one client specifically said, I wanted a light industrial. I have enough solar. We couldn't find her one in her price. She had 135,000 in a 1031 exchange. We
Mhm.
couldn't find one at that price. So we found a 70,000 light industrial, and then we threw in a 50,000 solar, and it was actually 10 acres. So she just gobbled it. She said, yeah, I'll take them both. I don't care. So that's her. She's actually catching up to me. This is her 9th and 10th properties, and they want to buy more. It's like, oh my God. So I like repeat customers. They're very easy to work with.
Oh yes, they know what they want already. They know the product that they're buying, and
I don't have to explain anything. I
Nope.
just fill out the paperwork the same as the last one, only I changed the date and the address of the property and the price. So it's very, very easy on the paperwork side for me. I love it. So yeah.
awesome.
All
That's
right.
wonderful.
Any other questions, even if we're offline? Anything else?
No, everything else I got. We covered a lot of stuff, and I'll update the card with your email address. You can start sending that e-card out. Once it goes live tonight, once they do everything, upload it, I'll send you the links and
Great.
promote it as you see fit.
I will, and get the word out to more and more people. I have 7,000 people on LinkedIn and about 4,000 on Facebook, maybe 3,000. I've been getting rid of a lot of the Facebook people that I don't know. I don't know why I accepted, but in the beginning, I just accepted any request. And I'm looking at these people and I'm going, I don't know this person. They don't even live in this country. Why am I friends with them? I don't use Facebook, so I've been curtailing that. But LinkedIn, I've got almost 7,500. So some of them, at least, I'm sure, read the feeds and look at things. So hopefully it'll get out there, and
Oh yeah.
hopefully I'll get some people that say, yeah, I heard it on Magnus's show. And it's like, now I know who did it. And I'll keep you posted.
Absolutely. Because right now, just a quick fun fact of the show. This month I have over 1,600 listens from the first 3 things and everything else that's going on. So I'm looking to break 2,000 listens this month.
That's great.
So
That's
it's
a
going to get
lot
out
more.
there.
Yeah. Some of the podcasts I've done, 6 views, 8 views, or